In 2021, the unthinkable happened. My stepdad passed away, and it rocked our world. My mom began the long grieving process and sat in her recliner. She didn't want to do much of anything. I tried to think of an idea to cheer her up, so I decided to declutter her bathroom upstairs. She began to help. She pitched in, and this was the spark that got us going. Her house was a cluttered mess, and it really caused her a lot of stress and depression, and she wanted to get it clean, and I was willing to help. So began the process. Next, we started on the kitchen, and we had a big job ahead of us, pulling everything out from all of the cupboards, decluttering all of the countertops. We pulled everything out and began sorting, even the silver that my mom collected at garage sales. Then on to the Tupperware. And eventually we made progress. All of the countertops were cleared off and clean, as well as the entire kitchen. Next, we started on Mom's craft room in the basement, and I began bringing all of the contents upstairs. We began sorting her rubber stamps on her kitchen table, but it was just too much, and we ended up hitting a brick wall. We became quickly overwhelmed, so we gave up and quit. Everything sat where it was for the next 3 years. The house just stayed in a chaotic, cluttered mess. Over the next 3 years, we decided to run and escape the chaos and just have some fun. We did a lot of fun things together, such as puzzles, hiking trips, going to the drive-in with my mom's sisters, going to play pool, and I must say my mom is a pretty good pool player. We went to a winery, we went to the movies, we went sightseeing. We had all kinds of fun with my mom's sister, Paula. This was at an apple orchard. Here we're at my mom's cousin's house in the country. This was at Graceland. Then we went to New Orleans, a shopping mall during COVID. Playing trivia, we won third place. Hanging out with my mom's friend in Howland, Michigan on a trip to see all the tulips. A backyard cookout at my house. Celebrating my nephew's birthday. Going to the local fair in the summertime with my Aunt Paula. Then I had an Elvis party at my house. We sported the glasses and watched his comeback tour on DVD that I ordered online. My mom's sisters came. Then we went to an antique mall in Illinois. Had some Bloody Marys. Went to a girls' night out in the city. Went to a wedding. That's my Aunt Linda. Went on the annual Spoon River Drive Fall Festival. Did a facial. Ha ha ha. Celebrated Christmas together. Then we went to Key West in February, I believe, of 2022. Escaped the cold, harsh winters in the Midwest and enjoyed some sunshine on the beach. My husband was there playing a gig. Enjoying some ice cream at home at a unique place. Went to a salt cave for my birthday. It was a unique experience. Then we went to see the Doobie Brothers. Quite the weekend for my birthday. Mom and I went on a little trip to a place called KZ, Illinois, where they have all this big, unique stuff. Then we went with my aunt and her friend to a Van Gogh exhibit in a museum. Mom loved it. Here we are in Iowa with my aunt and her friend. Then we went to see the Barbie movie before we toured a historic home. We had a ton of fun, but now it was time to get back to reality and decluttering the house. The mess was still waiting for us back home. We decided to have a sale in my mom's barn, and we began cleaning it up to get it ready. We hauled a lot of contents out of her house that we had sorted from her kitchen mostly, and some from her living room as well. The sale was a success, and it gave me an idea. My mom was going on a trip to see her friend in Alabama, and now I had a place to go with her stuff inside of her house. When Mom went to visit her friend in September of 2024 in Alabama, I got busy in her living room. But only after a couple of days, I realized it was just too overwhelming for me to do alone. So I called my nephew and asked if he would help, and he agreed. Thankfully, he came up and we began emptying the entire contents of the living room out into my mom's barn. Now that I knew I had a place to go with all of these belongings, since we had that sale in her barn, it gave me that idea for a storage area. It was very convenient. So began the long process of taking box after box and item after item out to the barn. Then we began the cleaning of the cobwebs and the dust. The little cat was asleep on the couch. We found a lot of mice nests underneath the furniture. Then we stripped out the carpet and took it out in front of the garage there. And I hired a company to come and pick it up and haul it all away. Cost a couple, $200 or $300 for that service. Then it was time to move into the living room and start cleaning all of the cobwebs and dust off of the ceiling and the walls to get it stripped down and prepped and ready to paint. My cousin and her husband came over to help my nephew and me out because it was quite a big job. We even painted the ceiling and stripped down the carpeting off of the steps and got those painted as well after removing all of the tacks. The cat was a big help. We painted the steps orange and one of the living room walls to match. Then it was time to move on to the dining room. When I started this project, I only intended to do the living room, but then I continued into the dining room. And as you can see, it's a hot mess. I was so fortunate that my nephew Josh agreed to keep helping me. Thank you, Josh. As you can see, we had quite a hurdle to tackle with all of this clutter. Clutter on the table, clutter on the counters, clutter on top of Mom's bead cabinet, clutter inside the cupboards, clutter everywhere. Looking back, I just almost find it impossible the amount of work that my nephew and I did in that short amount of time of 2 weeks before my mom arrived back home. We found broken glass behind a cabinet. Inside the cupboards, the food was all corroded and mice had built nests. We had to clean all of that out, and it was a dirty job. Josh did a great job and didn't complain. Then he proceeded to cut out contact paper for me and line the shelves. Of course, the cat was a big help. This is the before and after of the cabinets when Josh put the contact paper in. It looks so nice. We only had one day left, and Mom was getting home, and the cabinets were still full, or rather the countertops. So I came up at 5 a.m. before work to get them all cleared off. So when she got home, it would be nice and clean for her. We couldn't wait for her to see the surprise. I recorded a video of Mom's reaction, however, I cannot find it, unfortunately, But let's just say she was pretty happy. Thankfully, she liked the orange paint on the wall in the living room, and she was extremely happy with everything. We continued together to declutter the rest of the kitchen and clean the top of the fridge, decluttered the magnets, put up a little white erase board so she can write down the contents in her fridge and she knows what's in there. We decluttered a junk drawer and made it all nice and neat. We were doing some fine tuning of the kitchen when she returned home. Washed everything down from the microwave to her decor in the window. Then it went from this cluttered mess to this very clean, sparkly kitchen. Hooray! Then we moved on to the living room again. A new floor and door were being put in. Quick side note, when my husband and I carried the subflooring into the house, he dropped it on my toe and it ended up getting pretty bruised. They had to put plastic down over the new subflooring so the cats would not pee on it while we were waiting for the vinyl flooring to come in. Here we hired a guy to put the vinyl flooring in, and he was putting the glue down and getting it all ready. He did a fantastic job. We were really happy with it. It was through a friend's uncle, local guy. Here he is rolling out the new vinyl flooring. Unfortunately, Menards gave us the wrong size initially, and we had to return it and get the correct size because it had to be installed all in one piece with no seams because we did not want the cats peeing on the floor and it leaking down to the new subflooring. So that vinyl is all one piece and it looks really super nice. Next, we got a new door put in because the cats peed on the bottom of it and created all this rust, and it did not smell good either. So, our handyman installed a new door as well, and it turned out really nice looking. Then we moved on to a new window, which I paid for my mom as a gift. It got all foggy and she couldn't see out of it. So a local company came and installed all of the individual panes of glass, and now it is all sparkly and clean and shiny, and she can have a nice view while she's sitting in her armchair in the living room. Spectacular. Mom didn't want a lot of furniture in her living room, so she just has an entertainment center, a new record player on top, and a new cat tree for her cats and a new rocking chair. That's about it. It went from this cluttered mess to this, a very clean living room. Mom decorated it with a few pieces. It has a very sparse, minimalistic look. Sewing machine in the corner, but she is quite happy with it, so that makes me happy too. Next up, my nephew and I decided to clean out a Winnebago that sat in my parents' driveway for decades, neglected. We did have some good times in it though. This RV belonged to my stepdad, even before he met my mom. We did take a family trip in it to Missouri and it was a lot of fun. But now it sat and it was a cluttered mess inside. The back window had broken out and rodents got inside of it and lived in there during the winter months. The curtains were tattered, the wiring was falling out. All of the cups and pans sat on the table unused. So we got busy with black garbage sacks and started hauling stuff out. I'm not sure why we decided to clean it out because after a few years, I finally found a company to come and haul it away. I tried over and over and over to find a junker to take it away for free with no luck. Finally, I found a newer company and they came and took it off of our hands free of charge. They loaded it up one night and hauled it away, and my mom and I were ecstatic. Next up is the laundry room. It took me a few hours for just such a little room. There was a lot of clutter on top of the washer and dryer, but I got it all in order, and now it's looking very nice for my mom. Intermittently, other projects were going on in the house at the same time. The bead cabinet was a hot mess in my mom's dining room. That's where she keeps it. The top of it is just so cluttered. So her and her sister Carol got busy and started sorting beads and putting them away. And now the top of the bead cabinet is all cleared off. We were able to decorate it for the fall and then for Christmas. We ordered special table runners to put on top, and it's so cute and beautiful. My nephew and I then started on my mom's Barbie room. Yes, she has a spare bedroom dedicated to her Barbie doll collection, which she began in the 90s, and she has over 300 Barbie dolls still in the boxes. Well, this room ended up becoming a storage area over the years, and she kept a lot of the holiday stuff in there. We cleared it all out and vacuumed, even though the carpet does have some stains. Then Mom helped us sort some things on the shelves, as well as her little rocking horses on the top shelf. There were a lot of stuffed animals to clear off as well. And now we are keeping pictures in that room for safekeeping, as well as the Barbie dolls. I hope they don't mind. It's also a spare bedroom and has a bed in there in case Mom has a guest. Her little sewing machine sits in the corner. That might move to a different room later. Nice looking room now. So proud of it and all of the hard work that we've done. And I really couldn't have done it without my nephew Josh. He was a huge help. I'd like to get new carpet in this room, but I'm not sure if that's on the high priority list right now. Next up was a huge project that I was not looking forward to, the family room, because it's the largest room in the house, and I knew it was going to take a lot of work. First, we had to clear out the clutter, and there were some larger items down in this basement that had to be dealt with as well, in addition to all of the smaller clutter items, which contained all sorts of items such as yarn and coolers and holiday stuff that Mom had stored down there over the years. In addition, she had 8,000 books stored down here that she had kept since her teenage years. She didn't get rid of anything. It was kind of actually fun going through all of her books. So, yes, we had to get rid of the big ticket items first to make paths for ourselves to be able to walk down here, which you can kind of see some of these paths taking place here now. Some empty space on the floor so we could actually walk down here. This room was actually really beautiful at one time when they first moved in and we held our family Christmases in here. It was carpeted and the fireplace would be lit for Christmas. There was a little love seat and an armchair. It was super duper cozy down there. Lots of good memories with all of my family, my extended family in this room. So we had to get rid of this old washing machine that didn't work. A junker took that. We sold this coat tree on Facebook Marketplace. We gave away this hutch for free. In addition to this cabinet went upstairs into Barbie's room to hold photo albums. We gave this old sewing machine away for free, posted that on Facebook Marketplace. A couple of guys picked it up, and I was glad to see it go. It was very heavy to move out of there. This old chest we gave away for free to an older gentleman who said he wanted to restore it. So we were happy to see it going to good use. It was my stepdad's mother's that she got from her parents as a gift, probably when she graduated high school. Now that we had the room pretty cleared out, we had to focus on Mom's books. I brought a lot of boxes in from work so that we could sort items and organize. Lots of craft stuff too down here. Then I decided to clean out the fireplace. There were years and years of ashes down there. I shoveled those out into a bucket and then I got a new fireplace grate. But we're actually going to put in one of those electrical fire inserts instead. Here are my mom's books. We cleared off this table. We found some mice nest in the books. They had chewed on some of the pages. And we began the huge task of sorting all the books out on this table. We sold a lot of the books at Mom's garage sale. We took some to a used bookstore and got credit. I sold the Stephen King books on Facebook Marketplace. And there were even more books in the corner. It was hard to keep my eyes open during this long project. It was tiring. Mom scrubbing the floor. More books from the 70s, which I thought were really cool, and I actually still have those in my basement. Mom sorting her magazines. More books. My mom loves to read. The bookcases were damaged and had to be repaired. Mom got new wood and repaired those. She's such a handy person. Then she's cleaning them and putting them back in place. But first, before that happened, Mom wanted to take the wooden pieces off the walls. She didn't like that look. And I agree. I think it makes the room look a lot bigger and more open by removing those. Then we cleaned the walls. We scrubbed them down with disinfectant. There was a lot of dust and they were dirty. My nephew took out all the nails from the walls and scrubbed them as well. We were getting the walls prepared to paint. A fresh coat of paint always makes a room look so much nicer. Side view of the whole room there. Different angle. The room is getting patched where all the nail holes were, and there were a lot of those. And it's time to paint. I'm helping out there with the roller. It took quite a while, and then we had my cousin's husband, Tim Ulinen, come in and help us because he's a tall guy. So is my nephew, Josh. So they were on the ceiling detail. There's Tim. He's such a nice guy. Super nice. Mom did give him and his wife $100 for helping us out, but they didn't expect any payment at all. I'm taping off a light on the ceiling there to paint around it. Lots of nooks and crannies and corners to get around in that basement family room area. And the whole goal is that we were going to make this room into my mom's new craft room because she has a lot of crafts. So now we're painting the cement floor brown, chocolate brown color. That's my nephew. And that took quite a while and was challenging because we had to paint around all of the stuff down there and keep moving it, waiting for the floor to dry, then move stuff from one corner to another corner. Mom actually finished off the rest of the floor, which was nice. I hate painting, by the way. And then we started bringing the crafts into the room. These are a little out of order. Mom is now using her bookcase. Oh, she got a new sliding glass door back there. That's what that picture was. All of these vacuums that needed to go bye-bye. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, so we started moving the crafts out here. And Mom was really excited about this, to be able to organize all of her craft items onto these shelves that she used to put all of her books on. She had read all of those books, and it was just time to let them go, even though they were a large part of who she was. Now other people can read them and enjoy them. So this project is ongoing. We got sidetracked with some other things, such as the basement project because of the leak down there, and we put the new craft room on hold, and we're going to probably get back to that in January or February, perhaps. It's hard to organize this room because Mom has so many crafts and she doesn't want to let any of her crafts go. So it's near impossible to make this a usable, practical room. Here is the table and chair set, and Mom decided to polish all of these chairs, and look at the difference. Wow, that looks really nice, Mom. Bringing in more crafts. Mom has enough crafts to open her own store. The fireplace looking good. Mom's happy, and so am I. But we still have a long ways to go with this room. Wish us luck. Next, we moved on to my mom's former craft room, which we are now making into a storage room. My mom had her craft room so full of stuff that you could no longer walk into the room to use it. We had a lot of fun in there back in the 90s, early 2000s, making cards and other crafts, but it became overrun with just too much stuff. So it was time to get busy and clear it out. I also began recording video in March of 2025 when this project was taking place with Mom's permission for my YouTube channel. So you'll see some of those video clips as well here. We found a leak in the wall. That's why I'm wearing a mask, because it was mildewy in there from the leak. The carpeting also got wet. A lot of stuff got ruined because it was wet, such as books and magazines that were on the floor. I'm opening up the window to give us some ventilation. We had a lot of large black garbage bags to clean up debris and haul upstairs out to the garbage. We ended up using my mom's tractor and filled up the entire bucket with debris to haul out to her curb for the garbage. Mom is scraping up debris from the wall there to put in the garbage sack. She knocked out part of the plaster wall so she could try to figure out where the leak was coming from. And then she ended up putting a bunch of fill dirt on the outside of her house and replacing a gutter part. And she said she thinks that has the problem fixed, which I hope is true, because I would hate to see us get this room all cleaned up and then have it leak again. We're starting to pull out the carpet now. Good riddance to that stinky carpet. There were also some pictures in this room, to my horror. We moved those up to Barbie's room for safekeeping. Some of the pictures that were in the closet did stick together because of the mildew in the room, and that was very unfortunate and almost made me cry, because there were pictures of me when I was a baby with my grandma, pictures of my parents' honeymoon when they were married in 1968. Or maybe it was 67 when they were married. Yeah, 67, because I was born in 68. So that about broke my heart. If I can give anyone some advice, it is this: never store your photos in a basement area. Always keep them on a higher level and preferably inside plastic bins or totes, something that can protect them. So this was quite the job, down on our knees, cutting out this old yucky carpet, rolling it into rolls, carrying it up steps through the living room, out to the garage to put in the tractor bucket. This is an ongoing project in this room. The hole in the wall still has not been repaired yet. We do need to get someone over there to do some drywall work and plaster that up so we can get the room painted. And we did buy some plastic shelving units from Menards to put into this room. I think there's about 2 or 3 of those in there so far, but we want to get some more. And this room is going to serve as a storage room for Mom's holiday items mostly. We bought a bunch of plastic bins and started organizing that stuff already, which you'll see later here. That way, Mom can actually find her stuff. Whereas before, she didn't know what she had. She was always hunting for stuff. She would buy Christmas gifts throughout the year as early as right after Christmas or January for the following year. And then she didn't know where she put them. So they would just sit in the basement or the craft room or the family room. And then she would just keep buying more Christmas gifts and not use the ones that she had already purchased. Now we have a bin for those, so she knows exactly where to go. I'd like to even label these bins in the future after we get this project going again. We got sidetracked. It's a long story, but how it happened is the leak in this wall. I called a company to come and check to make sure that this leak was fixed. And when they came out, for some odd reason, I was at work. Mom talked to them, and they didn't even look at the leak in this room. Instead, they looked at my mom's sump pump in her basement. She lives in a quad level home, and this room that we're working on right now is underground, but it can be accessed through a backdoor patio. It's hard to describe this quad level home, how it's split up. The main level has the living room, the dining room, and the kitchen. That's the main ground level. Then upstairs, there are 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms and a hall closet. Down on this level that we're on right now, I guess I would call it level 3. There's 4 levels. We're on level 3, which is underground, and it contains the laundry room, this room that we're working on, the family room, which is going to be the new craft room, and a bathroom. And then level 4 is the sub basement, and that's all it is a basement. It's not the whole length of the house. The basement is underneath the living room, kitchen, and dining room area. This room that we're working on now was probably a spare bedroom originally, and my brother lived with my mom for a while, and he stayed in this room before my mom ended up making it into her craft room. But once we started doing homemade cards and scrapbooking, this was the room that we would mostly do that work in. Had a lot of fun. But yes, it's a very small room, and my mom has a gargantuan taste for crafts. So they were not going to all fit in this room. She quickly outgrew it to the point of it becoming unusable. And that's how I know that my mom has hoarding disorder. Because to me, if you fill up a room and you keep going, even though you know that room is already totally full, and you fill it up to the point of it not being usable, that's an issue. If you open the door and you can no longer walk into the room to use it, it doesn't serve its purpose anymore, and it's a waste. You can no longer enjoy it. You can no longer use your items. So it's a waste on many levels, both because the room cannot be used and because you can't use the items that you spent thousands of dollars on. It will be a challenge, even though we moved all the crafts out into the way larger room, the family room, which is probably what, 5, 6 times bigger than this room. It's already full, which is amazing to me. It's mind boggling that this little room's contents filled up a room 5 times its size. And my fear is that we will not be able to get the new craft room organized. I know that sounds a little negative, but I know my mom won't want to get rid of any of her crafts. She already told me as much, and I'm not going to get mad or upset about it. But she knows that if she doesn't get rid of anything, it's going to have to be boxed up and stored in order for her to be able to use her new craft room. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. Okay, now we're at the point where we have these shelving units installed here, and we're cleaning the bins and organizing stuff more, figuring out what we're going to put in that room. One of those things will be the cleaners my mom has. I've never seen so many cleaners in my life. Again, this is a case where my mom would buy cleaners, forget what she has, and then find them down in the basement. Some of these have been sitting for years. You know, are they still good? I don't know, but my mom will still use them, I'm sure. Their mom is installing the second shelving unit we got at Menards. They're very sturdy, and we got the extra wide ones and the extra deep ones so that we can fit the plastic totes on these. It was a super duper hot day this day, and my mom typically doesn't run her air conditioning because she doesn't want to pay the bill. So I have shorts and a tank top on, and I'm still sweating. Woo wee, the things I do for my mom because I love her. It's very satisfying to me to get organized, though, so I don't mind helping my mom. It's gratifying on many levels. I like making her happy, and this makes me happy as well. So, yeah, I'd like to get one of these shelving units for like cleaners and household items, such as like paintbrushes and stuff like that. And then the other shelf for all holiday items. Hopefully, we can keep those holiday items contained to one shelving unit. And then we can get like 2 or 3 more shelving units for the opposite side of the wall and store more stuff in there. I don't know what yet. If you look above my head, you can see ribbons hanging from the ceiling. We also did a separate video on her ribbon declutter. She had so much ribbon stored in her closet and hanging from the ceiling, but to her credit, she got rid of a lot of it. A lot of the ribbon is going to be sold at one of her big barn sales that we have starting in the spring, and I'm sure we will have multiples of those sales again, just like we did last year. Now I'm going through all of the holiday bags that she has, and she has a lot of those. I just weeded mine out. We're never going to use all of those holiday bags, so I still have to put the basement project on this timeline, and then I think I'm going to be done with this project. This video project has taken me the longest of any I've ever done for YouTube because finding all of these clips and then putting them in chronological order and then doing the narration, it took an extremely long time. I've probably spent, oh gosh, 15 hours on this project. Close to 15 hours, I'd say, which usually it takes me 3 hours to do a video. from shooting it to editing it to getting it posted. So now I know what this entails. So if I do one again next year, I wanted to do this as a year in review, but it's already January, so I didn't make that deadline. But I'm hoping to get this done still in the month of January. I think it's important to look at where we've been, where we're going, what our goals are, and what we've accomplished. Some of these things I've already forgotten about. I told my mom it's probably like giving birth, although I don't know because I don't have any children. But you forget about the pain of giving birth. That's what I've heard. So this project is a good comparison to that. There were so many painful parts on so many levels, both physically and mentally. My husband dropped that subfloor on my toe, and I ended up getting an ingrown toenail because of it and had to go to the doctor and have it removed, had it cut out. It was extremely painful and it cost about $150. And mom and I both had some back pains, and mom sprained her ankle several times carrying stuff, lifting stuff. So it wasn't without injury, all of these projects. Okay, we're getting close to the end here on the new storage room. And next, we're going to move on to another humongous project, which is the basement, the biggest project that we've done to date. Probably the biggest one that we'll do in this whole entire decluttering process. Now we're moving on to the last big project of this video, the basement. There's already a light on down here. Ooh, it's really nasty down here. This had flooded several times. Unfortunately, one of those times was when I had some stuff stored down here. Oh my goodness. And a lot of my stuff got ruined. Wow. This is worse than I thought. Oh, makes me want to cry because so much of this stuff is just going to get tossed into a dumpster and going into the landfill. You know, of course, mom's going to want to save a lot of stuff. Wow, look at this. Here's an old time radio right here. Oh, that's sad. Sad, sad, sad. So she'll want to wash all these coats, I'm betting. I don't really want anything to do with that because a lot of this stuff is going to be covered in mold. Like we can pitch this carpet, for example. There's a lot of seasonal stuff I can see over there on the shelves. Empty totes. She'll probably want to keep all of those, I'm sure. This looks really bad down here. You can see the rust on the cans and stuff like that. Oh gosh, food items. That's really gross. There are food items in here. This bottle of ketchup. Yeah. So I let the guys know that are going to be coming here tomorrow to wear a mask and bring work gloves. I guess we have to get all of this side cleared out for sure where they will be working. I'm really surprised at the amount of stuff down here. I had no idea that there was this much, but actually, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because you guys know that my mom has hoarding tendencies. Some of you don't think so, but I certainly do, judging by the looks of this. Holy cow. Okay. We've got, oh, that pot back there is so cute with the little butterfly and whatever. So, you know, stuff that is not porous, glass, can be cleaned. but some stuff I'm going to say probably can't be cleaned. Anything that's cloth. What is that? Country Manor Dollhouse? Oh gosh. There's so much stuff down here that could have been sold and money brought in. And now, unfortunately, it's just going to have to go into the dump. There's a lot of cobwebs. I'm going to take some pictures and send them to the guys that will be working down here tomorrow. And I hope to God, I hope and pray that my mom will not want to keep this yarn. Please, no. Party light box over there. It might just be the box. I don't know. A musical water globe. I don't know what that big piece of wood is. It's part of a bed. This looks like an old record case. Oh my gosh, something just made a noise. What was that? Oh, okay. Is this place haunted? Something fell and I wasn't touching anything, I swear. Okay, that freaks me out. Okay, I'm backing out slowly. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm doing a voiceover now. That first video clip was the actual one when I went down just to take an inventory. Now, this time-lapse video is our first clean-out session, and we hired a young man named Kyle to come and help so he could carry up a lot of the stuff for us because Mom and I were getting pretty tired of doing lifting and going up and down the steps. This was our staging area, the driveway where we would be placing all of the stuff. So we started with some books. Then Mom took her tractor in the backyard and we loaded it up, which was much easier. I found my old CD cases from the 90s that I had lost. It was like a black hole in Mom's basement that sucked them all up, and I found them. So repeat steps up and down, up and down. Then my two nephews showed up a little bit later to help us as well, Josh and Zach. I had to give them some direction because they weren't really sure what to do. I started placing stuff at the top of the steps so that it would just be easier. We kind of got like an assembly line going here so that we wouldn't all be bumping into each other going up and down the steps all at the same time. It just made more sense. And then we traded out after a while, and some people were downstairs and some people were upstairs. I think that system worked out pretty well. I could just not believe the decades of stuff in this basement. It was truly like a time capsule. And the deeper the layers got, the older the stuff got. My mom saved everything, and it was actually kind of fun looking through the stuff. So much vintage items, including the old time radio that was probably from the 1930s. Unfortunately, we had to throw that on a burn pile because it was falling apart. The wood had gotten wet and it was warped. My nephew's there cleaning out a shelf that held food items on it that the cans had corroded. These shelves were collapsing and they held a lot of holiday items. The basement had flooded several times and it at least went up to my mom's waist, I think she said. So some of the totes were still full of water when we opened the lids, like this one that we're dealing with right now. We had to use a bucket to scoop the water out because it was just too heavy to lift. So we were pouring the water down the drain. It was kind of funny because there was a ceramic fish inside that. It looked like a fish was swimming in the water. Mom has some candles there. My stepdad's big metal office desk was down here as well. We found some vintage popcorn buckets from the movie theater. I ended up giving those to my friend who is the general manager at a local movie theater. He really liked them. Like I predicted, Mom wanted to wash all of these coats, and we ended up donating those to an American Legion Or no, it was actually to the Salvation Army during the winter months to help those in need. Some of us are wearing gloves, but we should all be wearing masks. Mom's giving some direction there or talking about items that she wants to save and wash. They're dismantling the wooden shelves. These are bird houses my mom made, or butterfly houses, I think. Her neighbor stopped by and gave Mom some flowers, and I believe this was around Mother's Day. Got our big burn pile going. The cat was smelling the flowers and then wanted to eat them. I've got a sink of hot soapy water, washing some of the items coming up, and our pile is growing outside. They're taking a little break there while Mom and I continue to clean downstairs. We're hard workers, that's for sure. The worst part of this was the floor had, I don't know what, dirt or mud on it, and it had gotten wet, so it was a mucky mess. My nephew Zach was telling me how a mouse jumped out of a tote when he lifted it to carry it outside. A cassette rack from back in the day, probably the 1980s. Look how clear this side of the room is already. That is some amazing progress. I think we did this basement in about 5 or 6 stages, different major cleaning weekends. I found a little pig in the muck, little toy pig. There's a lot of computer equipment down there as well. We found my old bed from when I was a little girl. Mom's paying the helpers $100 each. This is some of the stuff we put outside from the basement, sorting piles. This is the path we walked to go to the driveway. This was all going into a dumpster that my mom rented, a 10-yard dumpster, which we filled up using her tractor, and I helped her just tossing stuff in. And I'm sure that some family cards and photos went into that dumpster that I'm not aware of. This was our last big cleaning day of the basement. You can see a lot of progress has been made. Rather than put all of the clips in here, I just did the beginning clips and the ending clips because otherwise this video would be 2 hours long. And I try to keep it at an hour or less. Okay, I'm cleaning off the back shelf, and this is our last day when we dismantled the rest of these shelves. They were falling down, as you can see there. Lots of piles to go through still. I really didn't want to do all of these shelves in one day, but Mom did. So she was kind of pushing us to get this done. There was a lot of bending this day, sorting through boxes on the floor. We should have put everything on a table. That would have been easier. Some of the boxes were pretty heavy. Found all kinds of unique items, of course. Material, yarn. That bronze plate I just handed my mom had a horse on it. Lots of trips up and down the steps. Going through more boxes. I'm definitely getting a workout this day. We're going to try to sell those shelves, the shelving units, the good ones, the boards that are still good, at my mom's next big barn sale. Boy, that's going to be a big sale. We're going to have a lot of stuff. It's going to take us a while to get set up for it. So I'm thinking May. We'll have to start maybe at the beginning of April to get set up for it. It takes a lot of time to go through all of this stuff because there's a lot packed into each box. The sorting takes a ton of time. And Mom is very adamant that she is not going to put anything else down in this basement, and I'm glad to hear it. I would just love to have that much storage space, but she doesn't trust it because it's flooded so many times before. Even though we did just get a new dewatering system put in down there, if the power goes out, for example, then the sump pump doesn't work. Unless there's a generator or some kind of a backup thing on your sump pump, which she doesn't have, and neither do I. My husband and I don't have that at our house either. We have a sump pump, but it doesn't have the backup, whatever the thing is on it. I would like to have one for the peace of mind. Look how strong my mom is. She's 77 years old, and she can still carry these boards and dismantle shelves. She's pretty awesome. I'm so glad that she's able to get around and do this kind of stuff at her age. I think that's what keeps her young is the work. If you keep moving around and stay physical, I think you'll have a longer life in general. Okay, we're on the very last wall, shelving unit. I'm checking out some old walkie-talkie there. I listed those for my mom on Facebook Marketplace, but have not had any bites. All of these things represent my mom's life, but are they all sentimental? No. Am I glad that we're getting rid of them? Yes. I'd rather they go to someone who will use them. They've been down in this basement for 20, 25, 30 years. That's a long time to just sit and not be used. Old cassette container from the 80s. That's a car stereo. I told her I would try to sell that car stereo for her, but I don't even know where it ended up. Oh gosh, I think my mom gets hurt somewhere around this time dismantling these shelves. I'm thinking something hit her in the nose, like a board or something. I can't remember. She's what they call accident prone. She's broke her nose a couple times, I think, at the job she used to have. I always worry about her, of course. I was sore after this. I remember that. Kind of stiff and sore for a couple of days. But I like being productive. It makes me happy. Sitting on the couch all of the time does not make me happy. I think a good day is when you have equal parts of physical labor, sleep, and fun. Divide it into thirds. Do something productive, something relaxing, and of course, you have to work. Unfortunately, when I retire, I don't know what my life will look like. I was talking to Mom on the phone today, and she was bored. Gosh, I could think of all kinds of things to do, but I imagine I'll get bored when I'm retired too. But I'll try to stay busy, join an organization, or I like to do projects. I have all of my grandpa's slides to go through yet, 160,000 of them. Oh gosh, this is what about broke my heart. We're going through pictures. I hated to see that there were pictures down in this damp, mildewy basement. Ugh, all of these big pictures mom had hanging in her living room in the 1970s and 80s, probably even the 90s. I remember seeing them all the time. She did not change her decor very often, very rarely. She would just get a certain furniture and keep it forever. We had the same couch from I think the mid 80s, and then she took it when she moved in 1995, and I think finally got rid of it in maybe like 2020, somewhere around there. That was a long time to have a couch. And now we're looking at some pictures, trying to figure out what these pictures are of, and they were actually of my mom's house, the one that she's living in now. And we didn't recognize them because they were from the previous owners when they lived there. Some of this video might be a little redundant because there was a recent video about the basement, but again, it's just a collection of the entire year, a little more than a year of all of the work that we did. I wanted to chronicle it so we could watch it and realize everything that we've accomplished. The next time that we hit a roadblock or we get discouraged or we feel like it's just too overwhelming and we can't move forward, we need to watch this video because it's going to tell me that we can do it. If we've did this basement, we can do anything at that house, including the garage, which is the job that I dread the most. Number 2 on the list of the most dreaded jobs in the house. After the basement would be the garage. But I think we're going to start on the craft room in about a month or so. And I know all of you have been looking forward to that. Hopefully, fingers crossed that we can get some of the crafts out of there so we can actually organize it and make it a usable room again. Look at all of these boxes. Gosh, after mom's sales, we're going to have so much cardboard to recycle. We sold those. They were Christmas nesting boxes. They sold for $10 each, which was a really good deal. Some of them were brand new, still wrapped. And they had like 10 boxes total nesting box. I think we sold all 4 of them. So $40. Mom and I really hope that we're inspiring others to also declutter and organize through watching these videos. I know that when I watch other YouTubers do the same, I get inspired. It helps me a lot. It's like having a support network. It just makes you feel stronger. Strength in numbers, as they say, right? I think we have a ways to go yet, but I don't know what I'm going to do when we get done with mom's house. My house doesn't have a lot of stuff in it like my mom's, but I seem to purge all the time. I have almost my entire life. I've just been this way. I don't know why. Probably from growing up with my mom. Oh boy. Yep, now you can see the shelves are gone there. And we're getting towards the end, the grand finale here. No, not you do the 360. Just go. Just go. Ta-da! Oh, ready? On count three. 1, 2, 3. Ta-da! Yeah, a little lot of work.